My fiancé and I became homeless 3 months ago. We went to court and were kicked out due to falling behind on rent. Totally justified, but still sucked. We had fallen behind on rent because my fiancé became pregnant and was put on partial bed rest due to placenta issues. So she could no longer work. She worked at a warehouse. She'd searched for at-home positions for 2 months before the eviction but got nowhere. I don't bring in enough to cover rent, and because we already have 2 sons, my stepkids, I was falling behind on payments. Currently, my fiancé and I are staying in a camper on her mother's property. The kids usually stay inside with grandma because they want to. My fiancé had someone foster her cats, whereas I brought my dog with me. I will admit that she's not a fan of my dog due to some behaviours that she doesn't like, such as my dog does whine when she wants attention, which is a lot. It's due to her breed, honestly. Every dog I know of the same breed does the same thing. Or my dog will dart in front of you and throw herself on her back, wanting belly rubs, and 9 times out of 10 she trips you. Or she will weasel her way between us, digging you in the process because she wants to be touched 24/7, so there's not exactly any alone time or even a moment when you aren't being touched or whined at. So being in a camper with limited space, my fiancé has been getting extremely angry regarding the dog in general. Before we were in a big house, so it was manageable, but obviously not now. We've been searching for places to go because obviously this camper life isn't permanent by any means. Still, our state only has a 0.9 vacancy rate right now due to asylum seekers and refugees, so it's been tough. We finally did get a call back on a place a few days ago that was within budget and surprisingly big enough. She told me to jump on it and I had planned to until they told me I couldn't bring my dog. No pets, so I turned it down. My fiancé went crazy. She said that I needed to make sacrifices because she was now 7.5 months pregnant and that she would have to get rid of her cats too. She didn't want to do that, but the kids were the priority, not the animals. She said the state could come to take her kids if she gave birth and tried raising a baby in a tiny camper. I told her I wasn't willing to get rid of my dog for a house for anyone, and now she won't speak to me. She told me to go to my mother's and she and her kids would figure it out. Am I the idiot? Edit, this wasn't just about my dog, this is also about my fiancé's cats. She's had these cats for years, the oldest for 6 years and the 2 younger ones for 3. Rehoming her cats would be extremely hard on her mentally, as her cats mean everything to her. I understand she would 100% choose the house over the cats, but I don't want her to have to make that decision either. Rehome the cats, no problem. Rehome the kids, sure, why not? Rehome my dog, I'd rather my heavily pregnant partner was homeless. Wow, so apparently your dog is more important than your soon-to-be newborn baby? So she might lose your kid to the state and you're cool with that? You are the worst ever, and there is something very wrong with you. But he's worried about her. She would be heartbroken if she lost the cat she's had for 6 years and a whiny, clingy dog that will literally trip a pregnant woman if she isn't paying attention. I guess they're more important than a baby he's never met. Something is really wrong with OP. The partner should leave him and his dog. Then she and the kids could get the house, and he could continue to stay in the camper with the dog. Dude, wake up. You would rather be homeless and contribute to your wife and kids being homeless than part with your dog, by which you would also wind up homeless. I know getting rid of a love pet is tough, but seriously, you put your dog above your pregnant wife, kids, and basically yourself. So please think about it again, think hard, and be honest with yourself. Then explain to yourself, and perhaps the entire internet, what makes you think you aren't the idiot here. Of course you're the idiot. Get your priorities straight. OP has an eviction on his record and got a rental offer. You don't get many choices to begin with, let alone with an eviction record. If I were you, I'd call back that place, gladly accept the terms, and find a place for your dog with family or friends or rehoming it. You're one step from homelessness because of the dog. Is it worth staying in that situation with a newborn because of the dog? You need to figure out this situation. My 22 female boyfriend, 26, and I have been dating for about 2 years. Up until recently, we both lived at home. I was fortunate enough to buy my first place recently with the help of my parents. Mom is a realtor. I'll move into my place at the end of the month. My boyfriend and I talked, and he brought up the idea of letting him move into my place with us living together. He said that he'd obviously pitch in with bills and everything. Now, I was hesitant about this for a few reasons. Whenever he comes to my family's house now, it's like picking up after a child. He's constantly leaving dirty dishes on the counter, food wrappers wherever, water bottles wherever, etc. I'm continually having to remind him, hey, can you please throw this out? Hey, can you please put your dish in the sink? But nothing ever seems to stick. He's never lived alone before and had to fend for himself, like not even when he went to college. He's always lived at home. For example, in my current situation, yes, I live with my family, but I live in the basement. I fend for myself, as in I buy my own groceries, cook my own meals, etc. Sure, he knows how to cook, but he never buys his own groceries and stuff and mainly just eats what his mom makes or whatever's in the house. Since we first got together 2 years ago, he's always complained about how he hates his job. He always calls in sick because he hates it and doesn't feel like going, yet he hasn't tried to find something new that he enjoys doing. This makes me nervous because I don't want someone fending off me. I really also enjoy and value my alone time, hence why I decided to stay home and save as opposed to moving out somewhere with roommates. When I explained my reasonings to my boyfriend, he immediately got defensive. I'm sure some of my reasonings were a hit to his ego, but it's the truth and these things need to be addressed before we rush into moving together. So we cut the conversation short and just started saying, forget it, just drop the conversation, I just won't move in with you. He's been dry and bitter to me ever since and sulking around. I feel like kind of an idiot, but at the same time, I'm not just going to let these issues go like he clearly wants me to. I feel bad because I know he wants to escape his crowded living situation, but I stand by what I said. Am I the idiot for not letting him move in with me? Honey, your boyfriend wants to move in with you so you will become his new mommy. But even better because he gets to have intimacy with you. What a deal. But you know what will come? You said no to him moving in, because you're smart. Do you really see a future with this guy? Read your own story as if somebody else wrote it. Seriously came here to say all of this. Not only does he want you to take care of him, but he's throwing a tantrum because you saw through him. And now he's trying to make you feel exactly how you feel, like it's your fault. You know you aren't the problem here. He is. Don't let him try to convince you that he will be any different from what your gut is telling you. You are not the idiot one bit. You telling him your concerns and sticking to your guns will save you so much freaking grief. You're incompatible. He's 26. He's not gonna change. He's looking for another mommy. Rethink this relationship. The two of you are in entirely different places in your life. He's still acting like a teenager and you're moving on to the adult world. It's beyond rude to go into somebody's home and behave the way he has. You know if he lived with you, he would be worse. You'd be picking up after him 24/7. He wouldn't work, so you'd be paying the bills. And he's already shown that you can't discuss problems with him because he pouts. Girl, trust me, you'll be his new mom. My wife and I are in the process of getting a divorce. We have 2 daughters who are young teen and tween. Initially, we were trying the whole one stays there 1 week, then the other while renting an apartment. This was to keep the children in one home and have minimal disruption. However, it wasn't working out for us, especially the girls. We decided I would get my own place and my wife would keep the house, with the girls alternating between us every other week. At the house, my girls each have their own room. I tried to find a place that had 3 bedrooms, but they were out of my price range. At this time, I can't afford to buy a house, so I'm renting. I found a decently sized apartment and decided my girls could take the master bedroom as it's bigger and would fit 2 beds. I got a divider and tried to make it so they'd have privacy. They hate it, and I understand. It's different from what they're used to, and they are very different. There's a lot of bickering. We've had this arrangement for a couple of months now. I've tried my best to keep the peace. I told them that hopefully they'll have a bigger place by next year. My wife has been shaming me for forcing them to share a room. She says I should sleep in the living room. 1, it needs to be bigger for a pull-out or air mattress. 2, I really don't think this is a big deal in the grand scheme of things. I shared a room growing up, and was it fun? No, but it was the situation. I told my girls that I sympathise and understand it's hard, but they must adapt. My wife says I should put up with the complaining. Am I the idiot for expecting them to start adapting versus complaining every single day? I've accommodated them as best I can, the divider, letting them decorate their respective side as they want, letting one go in my room if they need a breather from the other, etc. But at this point, it's time to start learning to adapt. Am I the idiot? Edit. The house is in my wife's name. That's why I live in an apartment. She owned it before the marriage and secured it with a prenup. Not the idiot. Your ex saying that you should sleep in the living room is the stupidest thing I've heard today, and I've heard a lot of stupid things so far. One great thing about divorce, she's entitled to have an opinion, but it's just that, her opinion. You can do whatever the heck you like within reason. Having them share a room due to financial constraints is entirely reasonable. Your soon-to-be ex is stirring the pot with your daughters. She needs to stop with the comments about your daughter sharing a room. Her remarks are keeping them upset and prolonging this situation. I grew up sharing a room too, and the best thing that did for me was keep me from hiding in my room and becoming antisocial. It sucked at the time. I hope they'll adapt eventually. I think you've been more than accommodating in giving up the master. Soon-to-be ex is keeping it stirred so she'll get full custody. In most states, as a young teen, a child can decide who they want to live with full-time, and in most cases, if your teen picks one parent, the tween gets the same visitation. Then, soon-to-be ex hits the lottery. She gets the house, alimony, and child support. OP gets it every other weekend. This sounds like what's happening. My dad died unexpectedly and was relatively young. My youngest sister was a toddler at the time. Her hair was a lot like his. It's super curly. Because of this, our mom did a lot to maintain it. Growing up, Mom would spend hours on my sister's hair. Each morning was dedicated to the two of them in the bathroom, with my sister screaming and crying because brushing through it was long and unpleasant. Until she was a young teen, Mom insisted on washing and styling my sister's hair. She never let her cut it or dye it. When someone suggested trimming it, they were kicked out of the house. I won't lie, Mom was controlling at times, but I thought we all knew it was because of grief and memory of our dad. Well, Mom died, and the first thing my sister did was get her hair chopped incredibly short and dyed. She sent me and my siblings a picture of her new haircut, with the caption, "Sharon, our mom, always said I would grow my hair down to my butt. Not anymore. I thought it was my sister's way of grieving, but now she mentions it a lot, like asking how angry I think Mom would be if she saw my hair this short." I told her after the 5th comment to stop acting like her haircut was a big achievement. It's not. Millions of people get haircuts, and she should know her hair was important to Mom because it reminded her of Dad. She said she wasn't supposed to be Sharon's doll or a replacement for their dad. She should have been her own person, and if I can't respect that, she doesn't need me in her life. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. How about some empathy? Your sister was traumatized by your mother, who essentially abused you. She has finally found freedom, and you can't be happy with her. The jealousy oozes from this story. You see your sister as the golden child. She's the victim. It's telling that sister calls mother by her name instead of Mom. Hun, it wasn't just controlling. Your mother was abusive. I wasn't allowed to cut my hair until the 1st grade. It was already below my butt. I was a little kid sitting on my own damn hair. Finally, my father is the one who said, if she wants to cut it, she should be allowed to cut it. I went in with more than 2 feet of growth and came out with a bowl cut, the only name of a short haircut I knew. It absolutely was a damn accomplishment. Part of the problem is that it sounds like OP had a much better relationship with their mom. I think OP actually grieved for their mom's death and missed them, whereas for OP's sister, her mom's death was just the end of a cycle of abuse and being treated as her mother's doll. OP needs to realize that cutting her hair is a big deal for their sister because she was constantly abused, and that just because OP wasn't subjected to this, and OP's mother provided for them, and probably loved them both in her own twisted way, that it doesn't mean she wasn't toxic. OP is definitely the idiot for minimizing their sister's trauma, and both of them would benefit from therapy. We live in the US. I, female, have 2 kids, Kylie, female 28, and Chris, male 25, and both of them are married. My daughter has 2 kids, a male kindergartner and a male toddler. I had helped her through both of her pregnancies, as that was something she wanted, so I stayed over at her and her husband's house for about a month for both pregnancies. My son got married to a foreign girl, Camilla, 24, she's from Latin America. They announced a couple months ago that they're expecting their first baby. Camilla has no family here, so we're her only family in the country. I told her to count on me for whatever she needed with the pregnancy, since I knew that first pregnancies can be scary if you're alone. She thanked me and sometimes called me to know if something was normal, or she'd tell me that she'd felt X and asked if she could go to the doctor. She's close to 30 weeks now. We celebrated her baby shower last weekend with friends and family. The baby shower was held in my house. After everyone left, my son, she and my daughter's family stayed over to have dinner together. I asked Camilla if her mom would come to visit and help her through the delivery and postpartum weeks, to which she said she wasn't going to since her mom works. It's not something that people used to do in her native country because couples tend to want some alone time after the baby's born there. I told her that it sounded sad to be all alone. I told her that here is rather common for grandmas to go and help around when a baby's born, that I did it for my daughter like my mom did it for me, etc. I told her that I could help her if she wanted. I could go stay over at her house for a couple of weeks before the birth so she could rest. I can cook, do laundry and clean so she doesn't have to, and then I can stay over after the baby is here to continue helping with the house and the baby. She told me it was unnecessary since my son would have paternity leave so he could do everything. I told her that there is some stuff that he will not be able to do either, like helping with postpartum, and that they're both first-time parents so both have a lot to learn. It's helpful to have someone who already did it around. My son agreed. He said that's true and that he won't be able to provide the same help and support that another mother can. We continued talking more about that until she said it was okay for me to help. They left after dinner. My daughter stayed a bit after because she wanted to talk to me. She said I was overstepping because Camilla was obviously very uncomfortable with me staying over, which would stress her. She said I'm not respecting her wishes of having alone time after the birth like she's used to. She also said I basically pressured her into telling me what I wanted to hear. Is she right about all of this? I just want to help them out. Daughter is a voice of reason. She is 100% right. Even if you just wanted to help, you were rude, insulting and badgering. What is your son to do here? Turn you down? Turn down the help? Argue against the notion that you have a unique experience? Complete idiot. Try to listen to your daughter-in-law moving forward. A foreign girl. Even my grandma doesn't say that and she's sheltered. You sound pushy and vaguely xenophobic. You bullied your way to getting what you wanted, and I hope that your daughter-in-law finds her spine soon and tells you to back off so her pregnancy experience isn't ruined.